organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, Occupy Iowa City protesters explain their cause in their own words.
Plus, we explain why coffee sales go up as the temperature goes down.
And the Hawks face another Michigan opponent this week.
We'll break down the matchup in Daily Iowan Pregame.
All that and more is coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Thanks for tuning into your Thursday edition of Daily Iowan TV, your television news, sports, and weather source for the Daily Iowan. I'm Josh Bolander.
And I'm Adrienne Crossley. Johnston County is set to join Lynn and Black Hawk counties in a coalition that officials say will strengthen eastern Iowa's impact in Des Moines. The Johnson County Board of Supervisors said it will move forward with the plans to join I-80 coalition, despite some concerns over potential costs. Leaders in the three counties say that they are focusing on a number of issues, including mental health care reform, warding off a property tax increase, as well as fighting for more input in a potential tax increase on gas. For more on this story, be sure to check out Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan.
Despite extensive media coverage, many people are still curious about what the Occupy movement is all about. Wednesday in Van Allen, Occupy Iowa City held a public forum explaining their reasons for organizing and the use of media to spread their agenda. UI professors Frank Durham and Shel Stromquist gave short lectures on the U.S. social movements that preceded Occupy Iowa City.
In the 19th and 20th century, the sort of classical model of social movements involved the use of newspapers and magazines, for the most part, to construct common and commonly defined meanings for individuals to move from the positions of having personal issues and personal problems to collectivizing those meanings.
The two-hour presentations also featured some of the occupiers themselves, as well as other presenters who spoke about the economy and labor unions in relationship to the Occupy movement. The event closed with audience participation through a question and answer session.
The University of Iowa hospitals and clinics will have to pay over $500,000, a judge ruled Thursday. District Judge Paul Miller found in favor of Matthew Penhallow, who sued the UIHC after a surgery for bladder cancer in 2007 left him with permanent nerve damage in his leg. The UIHC will be forced to pay $550,000, with half of the money coming from state taxpayers and half from a group practice of UI doctors.
Work-related deaths fell statewide in 2010. That's according to the latest report from the U.S. Department of Labor, which shows Iowa had 75 work-related deaths last year, down from 80 in 2009. Here at the UI, a construction worker died this past January after being trapped underground during a construction project near Art Building West. And in August of 2010, another man died while working on the Boyd Law Building. Going back to 1992, the 2010 numbers are just below the state average of 77 deaths per year.
From the beginning of December right through finals week, Iowa City is expected to be highly caffeinated, with students studying all through the hours of the day and night. Earlier this week, I went out to see exactly what's brewing with this trend. At the end of every semester, students flock to the coffee shops to study for their final exams. But how is this influx of students actually affecting coffee sales? Finals week is a very stressful time for most college students. Coffee shops have become one of the top places to study. Many of the seemingly never-ending study sessions that take place during that week are fueled by caffeine. I asked a barista at Paterno for his take on the coffee rush.
Sure, it's a lot. I think it's more traffic because more students are going to class, like kind of all together all at the same time. So yeah, you'll have a lot more people in. You'll see a lot more people like in and sitting and staying and studying. So that gives it a feel of more people coming, and just a lot more rushes.
Okay. The day of a student studying for finals can be a particularly hectic one. Though studies have shown caffeine does not improve test scores, its ability to keep students up and awake have been its main selling point.
One thing I do notice is around finals time, I even notice this during midterms, is that some students will get here right at the during finals week, we do a free shot during the whole entire week. So that brings in a lot more business too. So.
Both Capenna and Java House stated that finals week coffee sales do increase their revenue and the overall amount of people that come to study. If UISG does decrease the number of finals you can have in a day, coffee vendors could see their sales decline right along with the workload.
A Coralville man is being charged with domestic abuse assault after allegedly breaking into a woman's home. Reports say 22-year-old Earl Riley entered an apartment of a woman with whom he has a child and apparently waited for her to come home. When the woman returned from work, police say Riley attacked her from behind, knocking her to the ground. Riley allegedly entered the residence through an unlocked door, and he is being charged with second-degree burglary and domestic abuse assault, a crime for which he has been previously convicted.
An Iowa City man was arrested after allegedly admitting he works as a drug delivery boy. Police arrested 20-year-old Xavier Mallard after police smelled marijuana coming from his apartment. Upon search of the apartment, police reportedly found just over an ounce of marijuana, which Mallard admitted was his because he, quote, delivers for another person. Mallard is being charged with possession and delivery of marijuana.
Although certainly not the last, we'll hear of the sexual assault scandal coming out of Happy Valley. Legendary football coach Joe Paterno was fired Wednesday night by the Penn State Board of Trustees. Paterno's knowledge of the 2002 incident ultimately cost him his job, and the news of his firing was met with fierce rioting on the Penn State campus. Paterno ends his career as the winningest coach in college football history, and with his departure, Kirk Ferentz now becomes the longest tenured head coach in the Big Ten.
And now Nick Fetty joins us in the studio for a look at your local weather forecast. Nick?
Thanks, guys. It was chilly and windy Thursday, but you can expect slightly warmer conditions Friday. Friday morning looks to be cloudy and about 37 degrees. By the afternoon, the sun will show itself and a slight breeze might pick up with temps getting into the low 50s. And then tomorrow night, skies will remain clear and it'll cool down to about 41 degrees around 10 p.m. Looking at the extended forecast, conditions for Saturday's game against the Spartans will be mild, and you can expect temperatures around 50 degrees and sunny skies at kickoff. We might see some rain on Sunday and Monday, and highs will dip into the low 40s by the middle of next week. That's what you can expect for the next couple days. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Nick. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about the increasing importance of the Iowa caucuses, plus how UI course offerings are not matching up with the increased interest in India.
The Hawks took care of the Wolverines last week, but this weekend they face another Michigan opponent in the Michigan State Spartans. And to get you ready for the game, we have everything you need to know in our weekly breakdown we call Daily Iowan TV Pregame.
Coming up on Pregame, we'll take a look at this week's connections between the Hawkeyes and Spartans, plus Michelle Martinelli, a reporter on campus at Michigan State, will join us on the phone.
And finally, basketball is back in Carver Hawkeye Arena this weekend. We'll give you a taste of what to expect on opening night. All that and more coming up.
Pregame starts now. Welcome into Pregame. Jake Abrams with Chelsea Byrne. And Chelsea, the black and gold try to go undefeated at home this season.
Yep, it's a game the Hawks have to win in order to stay hopeful for a spot in the Big Ten Championship. And there's no question about it, it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, Michigan State on top of the Big Ten Legends division. Both Michigan State and Iowa do control their own destiny. And Iowa is good at home. Out of the last 66 games, the black and gold, they've only lost 10 games inside Kinnick Stadium.
Last week, the black and gold made it 3 straight against Michigan, and this week, they're trying to make it 3 straight against State. And with more on the success of the Spartans, we welcome in football writer for the State News in East Lansing, Michelle Martinelli. And Michelle, big game on the line for both teams. This is a pretty important one, isn't it?
So important because before this past weekend, Michigan State didn't have control of what happens for the rest of the season. It had to have someone else in the division have another loss in order for this to really be a possibility. And all of a sudden that happened when Nebraska lost to Northwestern last week. And so now the players are realizing that they have complete control over whether or not they end up in that championship game.
Hey, Michelle. Now, Michigan State may be favored to win this game, but what are they concerned about coming into Iowa City?
Michigan State really, I think, if their defense has one goal for the whole game, they really need to contain Marcus Coker. he has proven that he deserves to be the leading rusher in the conference. And even, I believe, Mark D'Antonio said earlier this week that when they were watching film, he said that Coker reminded him of Jerome Bettis, and that he's going to run you over. If you're in his way, he's not going to try and go around you. He's physical, and he's going to run you over. So I think that's going to be a huge challenge for Michigan State's defense.
And the Spartans only have 2 losses this season, but they both come on the road. How does the team feel about getting a win in Iowa City? They haven't been so great outside of East Lansing this year.
They haven't been great. Their only 2 losses this season have been on the road, and the last one at Iowa wasn't the best performance. But I'd like to think that as the season goes on, they keep getting better, and their offense has improved throughout the season, even if we haven't seen some great performances on the road. So I'm hoping that maybe they'll take that next step and take everything that they do at home and let that translate to road performances.
All right, last question. Let's get your final score prediction and include who you think will win this game.
My final score, I think Michigan State is going to win this. I think they're going to take it back, but I think it'll be close. I'm thinking 17-14. Maybe whatever the score would be, I don't think the difference would be bigger than a field goal, maybe a touchdown.
All right, thanks for joining us, Michelle. And let's take a look at this week's game connections. First up, Iowa has 22 wins and 18 losses against Michigan State, and out of the 21 games played in Iowa City, the Hawks have won 13 of them.
Defensive coordinator Norm Parker coached Michigan State for 12 years. Iowa defensive coach Phil Parker played at MSU, earning first-team All-Big Ten honors from 83 to 85.
And the Spartans have the better record, but Iowa takes care of the ball better. The Hawks are 7th in the nation with fewest turnovers, while Michigan State, they're tied for 9th, just in interceptions with 13.
And the last time the Spartans were in Kinnick, I don't know if you can remember that Tyler Sash interception with the lateral back to Micah Hyde for a touchdown. Well, that may have been the play of the year last season. But next up, running back Marcus Coker is also 6th in the nation, rushing per game with MSU is 17th in rushing defense.
Yeah, game time is set for 11 a.m. on Saturday, but the football game is not the only buzz around town. Basketball season kicks off this weekend, and right now we'll get you ready with a preview of what to expect on the court this weekend.
Fran McCaffrey met with the media yesterday, and after an exhibition win over Northwest Missouri State last week, here's what he saw in his first look back.
The thing that pleased me the most was the play of Gatens and Eric May. Their consistency of effort was absolutely phenomenal. Because if you look at pretty much the rest of the roster, they all played well at times. They all had spurts where they didn't play as well. Bryce was pretty good, but he got in foul trouble. But everybody had spurts. I put Archie in at the start of the second half. He wasn't very good. I put him back in. He was great. Basabi had some great spurts. He had some spurts where he didn't do much. Marble, same way. I thought McCabe and Aaron White were pretty solid, but the tone was set by Gatens and May, I thought.
It's great to see Matt Gatens starting the season strong, because one thing that this team would like to see more of is consistent three-point shooting. It's never really been a big issue for Gatens, but now that he has more help with the addition of Aaron White, Josh Oglesby, and of course Eric May, the three-point shooting should look better this season.
And down low, there's also help from Gabe Olasini to grab rebounds, along with Devin Archie, and hopefully Andrew Brommer will get back in there soon to round out the rotation.
Yeah, and talking about Andrew Brommer, let's take a look at your Hawkeye injury report. Andrew Brommer still questionable for Friday's game. He's been out for close to a month now after suffering a sprained MCL in his right knee. Here's what Coach had to say about his progress.
He was able to go through non-contact on Monday. Did a little more yesterday on his own. It was a day off for us, so I didn't see him, but he was fine after Monday's practice. The plan was to let him go live and to see how he's doing then.
So much excitement on the west side of campus this weekend. Hawkeyes and Spartans at Kinnick and basketball tip-off at Carver.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting weekend, and we'll have all the results and coverage starting Sunday night right here on Daily Iowan TV. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you next week.